Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts, and in today's video we're going to be making these what I've called easy peasy pumpkins. This box has a removable treat box inside, and this one with the autumnal look has a fixed circular treat box inside. But you don't need to add the treat boxes at all. You can just make the outer wrap and add your treats inside. These are really quick and easy to make, and I would say play around with the length of your strips, play around with the widths of the strips and see what design pumpkins you can come up with. So let me show you how I put these together. I'm going to be using strips which are the whole length of A4, and these are 1.5 inches wide. You'll need 4 strips, which are your desired length and width, and that will give you the 8 wraps to form the pumpkin shape. But if you don't have full length strips, you could certainly make these up by adding 8 shorter lengths together. And I've worked out the centre of the strip, and then I've made a score mark 3/4 of an inch either side of the central point at 5 1/8 and 6 5/8. And you want to do that on your 4 strips, and that will give you the indication where your strips are going to cross over to help you form your wrap. I'm trying to create a pumpkin look, so I have added a central score line, and I have also added ink to the outside. I don't know what this is going to look like yet. We'll see when it's finished. If you do want to add DSP onto the outside, decide whether you want to add that now or once the strips are added together. Before you adhere your strips, you want to add your holes for your closure loop. I've used a simple stationer's punch. I have got my central score line, so I'm just going to line the hole up with the central score line and then just punch. So my hole is halfway across the width of the strip, and it's approximately 1/2 inch down from the top. So you want to do that on all 4 strips. So your strips will have a hole at either end. We're going to work with the strips in pairs. I'm going to flip these over so I can make sure I've got my decorated edge on the outside. And I'm going to line the top strip horizontally across the vertical strip underneath, making sure the top and bottom edge are lined up with the score lines on the piece underneath. I'm going to use construction glue. You use your chosen adhesive and just secure the 2 pieces in place to create my cross. Do that with your second pair. You'll end up with 2 sets of crosses like so. We're now going to join these 2 together. I'm going to flip this one over and add my glue onto the centre square, and I'm now going to flip this one over and sit it in the centre of the bottom piece on the diagonal. I can use the score lines to help line my pieces up, but you can lay your pieces on top and you will get an idea as to whether that's going in the right shape or not. So what you could do now is that could be your pumpkin finished. You could just create your closure loop, pop it through from the underside, and then pull up each of the outside sections one by one to give you your pumpkin outer. So you don't need to do any more than that. So this effectively on its own could be your treat holder. Alternatively, as you saw at the beginning, I've made 2 options in terms of treat holders. So this one has got a very simple to construct hexagon shaped box, which I'll show you how I put that one together. And this one can come outside, can be removed from the pumpkin. And for this one, I'm going to use a fixed circular treat holder. So let's do this one first. For the circular treat holder, I have a strip of card which is 11 inches by 2 1/4 inches. Along the long side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch to create the glue tab, rotate, and along the short side, score at 1 3/4 inch. So this is going to give us a box base which is 1 3/4 in height. So again, for any of the internal boxes, you can adjust these to whatever size you need that you think is going to fit inside your pumpkin treat holder. Fold and burnish the score lines. Take your scissors Remove the small right hand square where the score lines intersect. Cut a wedge from the ends of the side glue tab, and then along the long glue tab we're going to cut a series of teeth, which is going to help us create our circular box. I'm going to add a slight curve because it does make it easier to form the shape. What we're going to do is add glue to this small tab and form our ring. We'll fold our teeth in, add glue to those, and then that is going to sit simply in the bottom of the outer wrap. If it's your intention to decorate the outside of the ring, you may want to add your DSP now, or it's quite easy to do that once the ring has been adhered into the base. So we're just going to form our ring, add glue to the serrated teeth, and then sit the ring inside in the middle of the wrap. And once I'm happy with the position of that, I'm just going to take my score tool and burnish the teeth down. I'm going to set that one aside to dry, and whilst that one's drying, I'll give you the measurements that I used for the hexagon box. This piece is 11 inches by 3¼ inches. Along the long side, score at ½ inch, 2¼ 4, 5¾ 7½, and 9¼ and along the short side score at 1½. Fold and burnish along all of the score lines. With your piece in front of you, you want the 1½ inch section on the right hand side. Cut up the score line up within the ½ inch tab up to the first horizontal, and cut a wedge from the ends of the 1½ inch section just to create a glue tab. Rotate and remove that outside tab on the 1¾ inch section. So the 1½ inch section is the height of the box, and the longer pieces are to form the base. With the 1¾ inch section facing you, cut up each of the score lines to the horizontal. So we're going to create our base tabs. Do that all the way along. Add glue to the small side glue tab. Pull up the other end and adhere that to create your box. Flip your box over so that your base tabs are at the top. I'm going to pull those out. And we're now going to work in pairs. I'm going to pull over the first tab and add glue to the bottom ½ inch approximately. Pull over the opposite tab and adhere that in place. And I'm then going to work my way around again in pairs, so I'm working with the opposite tabs one at a time. And there's our box base. This is not a perfect hexagon. Am I concerned? No, it's a treat box at the end of the day. I'm not going to get frustrated about the fact that the angles for a hexagon might not be completely perfect. So there's our two box bases, our removable hexagon, which you could fix into the base if you so choose, and our fixed simple ring version. I'm going to go ahead and decorate the outside of this one, and then I'll come back and show you. So this is my autumnal pumpkin, which has got the simple circular treat box inside. I've decorated the outside with some pumpkin and toadstool images, which I've stamped and coloured in. And I created a simple leaf and tendril look around the top, which I've created a curved look to it, but it's stuck on the outermost wrap section. If you do find that your top wrap section is springing open. What I did after the piece was completed is I've just used my scissors to cut a slot from the hole, and that means when this final section goes on, you can pull your ribbon or whatever you've used as your closure into that slot, and it does help the pieces lock together. Alternatively, you could use a small glue dot. So this is the treat box with the fixed ring. I haven't added any DSP because I didn't feel it was actually necessary. And for the closure mechanism, I created a simple knotted loop with some raffia. I've threaded it through from the underside of one of the wrap sections, and then each of the sections just simply slot in place like so. There's nothing complicated about this. Through to the final one. And again, I have got that slot so I can just lock that in place. I'm really happy with how this has come out. It's achieved exactly the look I wanted, and I think it works just as well for the Halloween look box. I'm really happy with how this Halloween box has turned out. It's a simple black box with some Halloween style washi tape, and the acetate is from Crafter's Companion. So here's the two boxes side by side, and as I say, you don't even need to put a box inside. You could just use the wrap and add your treats into the middle. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.